As the globe spins on the axis of international drama, China's monumental influence cannot be ignored. With its tentacles spread across economic sectors and military bases worldwide, the Dragon of the East plays a sophisticated game of chess on a global scale. Alliances in this game are not just beneficial, they're crucial. They're like having the best +1s at a high-stakes diplomatic party where everyone is eyeing the biggest piece of the geopolitical pie. Today we're diving deep into the top 10 biggest allies of China. So buckle up as we embark on a journey through friendships that shape our world's political landscape. Imagine your best friend, but instead of sharing secrets, you share military intelligence and economic ventures. That's Pakistan for China. Nestled comfortably in China's embrace, Pakistan has been a cornerstone of China's foreign policy since the 1960s. The duo's camaraderie is cemented by the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a whopping $62 billion venture under China's Belt and Road Initiative. This isn't just an act of friendship, it's a full-blown marriage of convenience with massive infrastructure projects spread across Pakistan, aiming to rejuvenate its economy while giving China a strategic gateway to the Arabian Sea. Now the military ties are juicy enough to make any defense enthusiast swoon. With joint ventures that include missile development and fighter jet enhancements, Pakistan and China are like the dynamic duo of military prowess. But it's not all guns and roses. There's a shared concern over terrorism that binds them too, particularly in regions like Xinjiang and Balochistan, where stability is as elusive as a polite conversation on Reddit. Economic ties, well, they are intertwined like spaghetti. China is Pakistan's largest trading partner, and this relationship is about as balanced as my diet during the holidays. But beyond trade, investments in technology and agriculture are blooming, turning Pakistan into a veritable garden of Chinese finance projects. Social and cultural exchanges are the cherry on top. Educational scholarships and cultural agreements pave the way for deeper understanding and cooperation. This isn't just diplomacy, it's a powerhouse of mutual benefits and strategic positioning, making Pakistan arguably one of China's most significant allies in South Asia. But let's not don rose-tinted glasses. This relationship faces criticism both domestically and internationally. Concerns about debt traps and sovereignty are as common as misplaced socks in a laundry room. Yet, despite these challenges, the China-Pakistan alliance stands resilient, a testament to their deeper than the ocean, sweeter than honey friendship. Step aside, bromances of Hollywood, because the real action is happening in the frosty realms of Russia and the bustling cities of China. When it comes to allies, Russia and China are like the old pals who reunite to reminisce about the good old days of countering Western hegemony. Their friendship, seasoned with a dash of pragmatism and a pinch of strategic necessity, has evolved into a full-blown alliance that could give any geopolitical analyst a run for their money. Politically, these two are thick as thieves. They stand shoulder to shoulder in the UN, often sharing the same views on major international issues like Syria and North Korea. It's like having a friend who always backs you up in a bar fight but with less beer and more nuclear weapons. Energy cooperation? Absolutely. Russia, with its vast reserves, is the perfect match for China's insatiable energy appetite. The power of Siberia, a gas pipeline stretching over 3,000 kilometers, symbolizes this energy matrimony, promising to keep China's lights on and Russia's economy buoyant. But let's not forget the military camaraderie. Joint military exercises in the Pacific are as common as awkward family reunions at Christmas, only with more submarines and fewer passive-aggressive comments about your job. This military synergy is underscored by arms deals that include everything from sophisticated surface-to-air missiles to combat aircraft, because nothing says friendship like shared firepower, yet it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Economic ties, while strong, have their complexities. China's economic might shadows Russia's, creating a dynamic that's more complicated than a Facebook relationship status. And while they cooperate, there's an undercurrent of competition, especially in Central Asia, where both seek to expand their influence. Culturally, though, it's a different story. Educational exchanges and tourism between Russia and China are booming, fostering a grassroots level of mutual respect and understanding. These cultural ties help to humanize the geopolitical machinations, adding layers of soft power to the hard politics. In essence, the Russia-China alliance is a multifaceted partnership, woven together by shared interests and mutual needs. It's a geopolitical tango that keeps the world watching, wondering what their next move will be. North Korea, a country famously more isolated than a DVD player's instruction manual in 2023. Yet despite its hermit kingdom status, it finds a comrade in China. Why, you ask? It's like finding out that your reclusive neighbor has been best friends with the local party organizer. The relationship between China and North Korea is a blend of ideological synergy, and you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours at a geopolitical spa day. First off, let's talk mutual defense agreements. These aren't your average help me move my couch favors. We're talking about pacts that say, I'll help you keep your regime standing if you promise not to collapse into chaos on my doorstep. China, acting like the big brother, has historically been North Korea's lifeline, providing economic aid and military support. This is essential for Pyongyang, which faces significant international sanctions and would rather watch the Emoji Movie on repeat than give up its nuclear ambitions. Now on to ideological support. Imagine still being fans of a band long after it's cool. That's China and North Korea, with their commitment to socialist principles. While the world has mostly moved on, these two are still swapping notes on how to keep that socialist spirit alive. Even if it means throwing some serious shade at capitalist ideologies. Economically, China is to North Korea what oxygen is to humans, pretty darn essential. China is North Korea's largest trade partner by a margin that would make a monopolist blush. From fuel supplies to food imports, China's support is the cushion North Korea falls back on whenever it trips over international sanctions. Culturally, you'd think there'd be parades of shared festivities, but it's more like nodding acquaintances at a neighborhood meeting. They share a long border, historical ties, and a mutual suspicion of too much Western influence, yet public displays of affection are rare, probably because North Korea is about as warm and fuzzy as a cactus. Strategically, China finds North Korea's location as enticing as the last slice of pizza. It serves as a buffer state against South Korea and the US military presence there. Think of it as having a grumpy guard dog. It might not be friendly, but it keeps pesky intruders from wandering too close to your yard. In conclusion, while North Korea might not be invited to many international parties, China sees it as a crucial ally, or at the very least, a necessary acquaintance. It's a partnership that might raise eyebrows, but hey, in the world of international politics, it's better to have a slightly odd friend than no friend at all, right? Moving from North Korea's chilly political landscape to the warm embraces of Southeast Asia, we land in Cambodia, a country that's seen more Chinese investment than a Bitcoin subreddit sees speculative theories. China's influence in Cambodia is as noticeable as a peacock at a pigeon party, and it's not just because they both love rice. Firstly, let's discuss the economic ties. China is to Cambodia what a rich uncle is to an aspiring artist, providing funds when no one else will. Billions of dollars have flowed from Beijing into Cambodia, targeting everything from infrastructure projects to agriculture. It's like watching someone play Monopoly in real life, but with real hotels and railroads. The investments are visible everywhere, from Phnom Penh's skyline bristling with cranes to vast new highways that could double as runways. China's Belt and Road Initiative has found a willing partner in Cambodia, where the local government seems as enthusiastic about Chinese money as a kid in a candy store. But it's not just about money, it's about influence. Cambodia, under the leadership of Hun Sen, has often supported China in international forums, particularly ASEAN, where it has acted like China's +1. This support can be seen as Cambodia ensuring its RSVP to future Chinese investment parties continues to get accepted. Culturally, the influx of Chinese businesses and tourists has transformed Cambodia. Cities like Sihanoukville have seen such an increase in Chinese residents and casinos that you might momentarily forget which country you're in. It's like a cultural exchange program, but where one side is doing most of the exchanging. Despite these cozy relations, not everyone in Cambodia is throwing a welcome party. There's growing concern among locals about the environmental impact and soaring debt levels, issues that tend to follow Chinese investment like an unshakable shadow. Critics argue that Cambodia is selling its sovereignty one yuan at a time. creating a scenario where it's less of a partnership and more of a patronage. Strategically, China's presence in Cambodia gives it a foothold in Southeast Asia, an area where US and allied interests run deep. For China, Cambodia is like having a friend inside the clubhouse of a rival sports team. It's not just about being there, it's about knowing what the other team is up to. In conclusion, Cambodia's relationship with China is as complex as a gourmet recipe. While the benefits are tangible, the long-term costs are still simmering on the stove, waiting to be tasted. As they say, too many cooks spoil the broth, but in this case, Cambodia must decide how many chefs it wants in its kitchen. Now let's pivot to Laos, a country that's so under the radar, it makes introverts look like extroverts. Yet in the shadows of Southeast Asia, Laos has been quietly solidifying its ties with China, becoming a significant piece in the geopolitical puzzle that is China's Belt and Road Initiative. Economically, China's influence in Laos is as deep as a philosopher's thoughts. The giant to the north has been pouring money into Laotian infrastructure, creating roads, bridges, and a high-speed railway that could turn a landlocked country into a land-linked hub. This railway, part of a larger plan to connect Kunming in China with Singapore, is like building a giant conveyor belt for goods and opportunities, but it's not all smooth rail tracks. The financial implications of these investments have raised eyebrows as high as the interest rates on the loans. Laos is becoming increasingly entangled in debt to China, a situation that's about as comfortable as wearing a wool sweater in a sauna. The fear is that Laos might fall into a debt trap, where it can't pay back the loans, giving China leverage over Laotian sovereignty. Culturally, the impacts are mixed. On one hand, the influx of Chinese businesses and workers brings new cultures and practices to Laos. On the other, there's a growing concern among Laotians about losing their cultural identity amidst the flood of Chinese influence, a cultural dilution that's about as popular as a skunk at a lawn party. Politically, Laos's relationship with China is like a quiet nod across a crowded room. Laos often supports China's positions in international forums, which is not surprising considering the economic leverage Beijing holds. It's a friendship that speaks volumes in silence, no need for loud declarations when a look can say it all. Strategically, having Laos in its corner gives China a strategic vantage point in Southeast Asia. It's like setting up a chess piece behind enemy lines, not immediately threatening but potentially very useful in the grand game of geopolitical chess. In conclusion, as Laos builds its infrastructure with Chinese help, it's also building a future where its choices might be constrained by its debts. It's a partnership that has the potential to either unlock new opportunities for Laos or lock it into a dependency that could dictate its future moves. As they say, it's the quiet ones you have to watch, and in the case of Laos, the world is indeed watching closely. Welcome to a chapter that feels like walking into a family gathering where everyone is smiling through gritted teeth. Yes, today we're discussing Myanmar, a country that's been as controversial as a vegan at a barbecue competition. China's support for Myanmar has been, let's say, unwavering in the face of international criticism, which is a polite way of saying that they've been as supportive as a bra made of concrete. Now, Myanmar has been under a microscope. And not the fun kind that lets you look at leaves or your neighbor's suspiciously exotic garden, but the kind that scrutinizes human rights records. And while many countries have recoiled faster than someone touching a hot stove, China has doubled down, offering political support that can only be described as a bear hug that lasts uncomfortably long. But why, you ask? Well, it's all about strategic interests. Myanmar is rich in resources like jade and rubies, and China loves a good gem more than a magpie at a jeweler's convention. Plus, Myanmar's location is ideal for trade routes that bypass those pesky crowded straits where ships line up like it's Black Friday. China's approach has been akin to a chess player who's playing with chess pieces made of pure gold. They've invested heavily in infrastructure projects through the Belt and Road Initiative, turning Myanmar into what might as well be a giant billboard for Chinese investment. Roads, bridges, you name it, if it can be built, China's probably involved somehow. And let's talk about the humanitarian aspect, or as it's known officially, the let's not talk about that policy. Despite the outcry over the treatment of the Rohingya, China's stance has been about as firm as a marshmallow in a boxing match, focusing instead on sovereignty and non-interference, which is a nice way of saying, not my circus, not my monkeys. In return, Myanmar serves as a loyal ally in international forums, backing China like a best man with embarrassing stories at a wedding. They block or water down any resolutions that might make China's leadership spit out their morning tea in anger. In conclusion, while the world tuts and shakes its head, China and Myanmar are dancing a tango of convenience and strategic interests, proving once again that in international politics, it's not about who you know, but how willing you are to overlook their flaws for a slice of the geopolitical pie. Thailand, known for its stunning beaches, delicious food, and now as a chapter in our saga of China's top allies. This partnership is blooming like a flower in one of those slow-motion nature documentaries, except it's less about pollination and more about dollars and yuan. Thailand and China's relationship could be compared to that of old college roommates who've gone into business together. They have their ups and downs, but at the end of the day, they're raking it in. Economically, China is Thailand's largest trading partner, and this isn't just in cheap souvenirs and street food. We're talking big-ticket items, electronics, cars, and those little plastic things you never knew you needed until you see them. Tourism is another biggie. Pre-pandemic, Chinese tourists flocked to Thailand like birds heading south for the winter, bringing their wallets with them. And we're not just talking about a few spare yuan for a pad thai on the beach. This influx has been a major boost to the local economy, making the Thai baht stronger than a garlic milkshake. But it's not just sun and fun, there's a techie side to this friendship too. China sees Thailand as a crucial partner in the Belt and Road Initiative, aiming to turn it into a hub for trade and technology in Southeast Asia. Think of it as making your friend the manager of your lemonade stand because he lives at the crossroads of the neighborhood. On the cultural front, the exchange has been as vibrant as a Bangkok night market. Educational exchanges and cultural collaborations are frequent, with more Thai students in China than in any other country. It's like a student exchange, but with more noodles and less complaining about the weather. Yet, it's not all smiles and selfies. There are concerns in Thailand about becoming too economically dependent on China, which is like realizing you're holding hands with someone who might be leading you off a cliff. And then there's the South China Sea tension, where Thailand diplomatically tries to be Switzerland but ends up more like that friend who tries not to take sides at a dinner party argument. In conclusion, while the relationship has its complexities, the economic benefits for now seem to outweigh the potential pitfalls. After all, in the world of international relations, it's often a choice between swimming with the current or being left treading water. Nepal, a country that's known for its breathtaking mountains and less known for its diplomatic dances with giants. When it comes to China, Nepal is like the small kid at school who's friends with the big athlete, useful for protection but always a bit in the shadow. China's influence in Nepal is as visible as the Everest on a clear day. It's primarily through economic aid and infrastructure projects. Think roads, airports, and hydroelectric plants that pop up faster than mushrooms in a damp forest. This is part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, which in Nepal's case might as well be called the Belt and Hiking Trail Initiative. Culturally, the ties are as intertwined as the strings on a prayer flag. There's a significant effort from China to strengthen these bonds, which includes language programs, cultural exchanges, and educational scholarships. It's like your neighbor who keeps bringing you exotic plants for the garden. Nice, but you hope it's not just for the sake of looking over your fence. However, it's not just goodwill and friendly gestures. China's involvement in Nepal also has a strategic dimension. Nepal is sandwiched between China and India, and being chummy with Nepal helps China in its regional power tussle with India. It's the geopolitical equivalent of befriending the sibling of someone you want to impress. The response in Nepal is mixed, like a cocktail that everyone's curious to try but isn't sure if they'll like. There's appreciation for the economic benefits, but also wariness about over-dependence on China. It's a bit like relying on a friend to pay for every outing. Great for your wallet, but potentially awkward in the long run. On the international stage, Nepal often finds itself in a tug-of-war between its two giant neighbours. It supports China in many areas, but it's a balancing act, as precarious as a Sherpa's foothold on an icy ledge. Nepal's stance often mirrors China's, especially in forums where China's policies are under scrutiny, making Nepal a quiet but significant supporter. In conclusion, while the relationship is beneficial, especially in terms of development and economic aid, Nepal remains cautious. It's a friendship with benefits, but one where both parties keep an eye on the exit, just in case. Let's dive into China's relationship with Serbia, a partnership that seems to say, hey, who needs Western Europe when you've got Eastern flair and Chinese tech? Serbia, a country famed not just for its rich history and stunning landscapes, but also for its ability to say thank you next to EU pressures, has cozied up with China in a way that might make even a romance novelist blush. In recent years, China has been playing tech Cupid in Serbia, providing a slew of investments that would make Silicon Valley look merely like Silicon Alley. We're talking massive deals in technology, infrastructure, and yes, military hardware. Why? Because nothing says friendship like sharing sophisticated military toys. The two countries have collaborated on everything from surveillance cameras to fighter jets, which is great, because who doesn't want their skies monitored by the same people who make their smartphones? But it's not just about the gadgets and gizmos. China's Belt and Road Initiative has found a willing partner in Serbia. The construction of a high-speed railway between Belgrade and Budapest is a testament to this blooming relationship. This project isn't just a way to zip between cities eating pastries faster than ever. It's a strategic move by China to embed itself deeper into the European infrastructure, much to the chagrin of the European Union. Moreover, Serbia's stance in international politics often mirrors China's, especially in forums like the United Nations. This political tango helps China strengthen its global influence, ensuring that Serbia is more than just a casual dance partner. The tech and military tie-ups are complemented by cultural exchanges that deepen this bond. Chinese language and culture courses are sprouting up across Serbia like mushrooms after rain. Funded, of course, by our friends from the East. However, this relationship raises eyebrows as much as it raises investments. The influx of Chinese technology and the potential for espionage activities make many in the West as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. But for Serbia, the benefits of Chinese partnership so far seem to outweigh the potential risks, or so they hope. So, as Serbia embraces Chinese drones and railroads, the EU might need to redraw its strategy maps. After all, in the game of global influence, it's not just the size of your economy, but also the strength of your allies that counts. Now let's hop over to Zimbabwe, a country that's been more than willing to dig deep, quite literally, with China. Zimbabwe, with its vast mineral wealth, has not been shy about diving into the deep end of the mining pool with Beijing. This partnership is built on a bedrock of mineral exchange, primarily gold, diamonds, and everyone's favorite lithium, the rock star of rechargeable batteries. China's involvement in Zimbabwe is not just surface mining, it's deep political and economic integration. Through investments that make Scrooge McDuck's vault look like a piggy bank, China has secured significant influence over Zimbabwe's mining sector. This includes not just the rights to extract these minerals, but also the power to shape the policies that govern them. It's a bit like being given the keys to someone else's sports car. Thrilling, but you better know how to drive it. Furthermore, the relationship extends beyond the mines. China has been a staunch ally to Zimbabwe, standing by it amidst international criticism and sanctions. This support isn't just for show, it's calculated to ensure that Zimbabwe remains a loyal partner on the international stage, particularly at forums where votes can sway decisions. This alliance also manifests in the form of infrastructural developments, with China pouring concrete and cash into projects ranging from roads to schools. It's like Zimbabwe has hit the infrastructure lottery, but of course the lottery ticket isn't free. These projects typically come with strings attached, strings that look suspiciously like debt. The economic ties are complemented by cultural exchanges, with educational and cultural programs designed to foster a deeper understanding and connection between the two nations. It's not just economics, it's friendship lubricated by mutual benefits. Yet this relationship has its critics who argue that Zimbabwe might be getting the short end of the stick, or in this case, the shovel. The fear of debt-trap diplomacy looms large, with concerns that Zimbabwe may be sinking into economic dependency on China. As Zimbabwe digs up minerals and buries itself in debt, it's worth pondering whether this partnership is a tunnel to prosperity or just another hole in the ground. But one thing's for sure, in the world of international relations, China knows how to pick its partners or its mineral deposits. As we wrap up this exploration of China's top allies, it's clear that these alliances are not just about shared interests, but strategic necessities. From Serbia's tech and military deals to Zimbabwe's mineral-laden partnership, China is stitching a global tapestry of influence that reaches into economic, political, and cultural realms. These relationships underscore the importance of alliances in bolstering one's position on the world stage, ensuring economic growth and geopolitical leverage. So as we consider the implications of these relationships on global politics, it's crucial to ponder the broader impacts of such alliances. They shape not just national policies, but international dynamics, influencing everything from trade to diplomacy. And remember, next time you're looking at a map, it's not just about who's where, but who's with whom. Because frankly, in the grand game of global chess, every move and alliance is a calculated play. Just don't forget to checkmate.